And we're back, Sam, after a successful first show for us both. Both had our good moments. UFC 301 was a night for the Brazilians, I'd say. Obviously, Pantoja winning, Aldo getting his big comeback win. What do you think Aldo's going to do, Sam?
Yeah, going to be interesting, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, hopefully he sticks around. He's gone back in, I think, at 8, hasn't he, in the rankings at bantamweight? Which, yeah, I don't know. Some people campaigning for him to maybe be a little higher. Obviously, we said last week he's got those good wins over some of the top guys in there, the likes of Marlon Vera, etc. So, yeah, you just want to see Jose Aldo in some good fights. Hopefully, another one. Then maybe back in there for another title shot. Who knows?
That would be incredible. Yeah, I think that would be incredible. What did you think of the main event? Obviously, Urseg, I thought looked pretty good. Definitely a future title contender. Obviously the big moment in the 5th round. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought Urseg would kind of outperform where he ranked. Obviously, we said that on last week and went for the Pantoja decision, and yeah, split. It could have gone to Ursig. That big moment in the 5th round. He could have gone on and potentially won that fight. And yeah, it kind of went the way I thought it might. With Pantoja, would kind of get the eye of the judges. Being in Brazil, but Ursig being the taller guy would maybe cause some problems for him. His rangy boxing and good in the scramble on the ground. That he'd cause him some problems, and something he probably hasn't seen for a while, fighting the shorter fast twitch guys that he's fought in Moreno and Royval recently. And yeah, hard to say really, but I think Pantoja might have done enough. But Ursig definitely has a big future in this division, and hopefully gets a big fight next against one of the top guys, and then we can see him back in a title shot soon. And then I think Anthony Smith was the one really that we didn't have. We kind of went for Barillo getting the early stoppage, Ferreira as well, that he'd get Pretoria out of there pretty quickly, 54 seconds with the submission. And then Anthony Smith, life in the old dog yet, potentially, and Vitor Petrino. Not maybe living up to a bit of the hype. I thought there might be one kind of surprise. That's why I went for Martinez over Aldo, but Aldo, turning out as you said, and wasn't to be denied in Brazil, but it was all Vitor that let us down.
Yeah, fair play to Anthony Smith. I knew so I thought he was a great fighter. I thought his time were up. Yeah, I think I just avoided that one on purpose because I wasn't devastated because I'm really happy for Anthony Smith. He's a great character, great on the mic, great ambassador for MMA. But it was a shock. I thought his time were up and the commentators' desk were calling, but he's like you said, life in the old dog like that one. But we'll look to this week's card, Sam. It's UFC Fight Night, Lewis v Nascimento, Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. We're covering the main card on this one. And there's some interesting fights here. A lot of new names which fans may not know of, may not have seen before. So it should be interesting. A lot of potential future contenders in this main card. So we'll start off, Sam. Heavyweight fight. First main card fight of the night. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Robelis de Champagne. That's probably I butchered that name again. It's going to be a running joke.
I think it's Despaigne. I think like
Despaigne.
Champagne in Spain. Yeah, he could be on the champagne after this one. Robelis, Despaigne, 35-year-old Cuban, apparently the longest reach in UFC history. He's 6'7", 87-inch wingspan on him. He's a big old boy. His nickname is actually the Big Boy. Bronze medalist in Taekwondo for Cuba at London 2012. 1-0 in the UFC. Josh Parisian last time out, 18 seconds. It took second fastest finish knockout by a debuting heavyweight, apparently, in UFC history, behind Todd Duffy's 7 seconds. But yeah, he looks a prospect in this heavyweight division at 35. He's going to come in and have some fun. Last time out against Parisian in that debut, came out, went for the head kick, slipped as Parisian comes towards him, just catches him with perfect right hand. Out he goes. And he looks an interesting prospect in this division, despite the age. I've seen a couple of his clips in his other MMA fights, and he hits just as hard in those as well. So in this one, Cortes-Acosta, 32 years old, 4-1 in the UFC. He's had 3 decisions on their unanimous decision against Andrei Arlovski in January last time out, so a second out in this year for him. Did get a KO in the fight before against Lucas Brzeski, had him hurt, and then he kind of turned away Brzeski, and it looked like a bit of a back of the head shot from Cortes-Acosta that actually put him away. But I think the fight was pretty much done at that point. But for me, I'm thinking Despaigne comes out and finishes this early doors, gets to the main card after an absolute flyer. Maybe not the 18 seconds, but I think he's here for that he can potentially climb into this mix in the rankings off the back of this one, and potentially score a first round finish.
Yeah, I know they're both. It's a really interesting fight. I think both are seen as I said before, pretty much future contenders. They're both fairly new in the UFC. Obviously, Waldo's 11-1. Despaigne, not Champagne. Despaigne is 5-0. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'll go against you, Sam. We'll have a bit of a friendly rivalry. I like that Waldo's Cortes-Acosta. I think his striking's a bit more proficient. He's had a bit more. I like the experience in that heavyweight division. I think experience normally always talks. He's just got a good style. It's pretty steady. He's got good hands. He's had plenty of knockouts. It's going to be a stand-up fight. And I don't know if Despaigne's kicking game will get him the win on this one, but no, I'm going Waldo Cortes-Acosta to catch him. I think when they're new in that heavyweight division, they still don't know that they can get knocked out easily yet. And I think he's got one knockout before he goes on a good run here. So I'm going to go Waldo Cortes-Acosta to catch him early in the second round.
Interesting. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's bit of fun on that one. But yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in on the Despaigne train.
Well, yeah, if you call it Sam, you deserve all the champagne. We've got a heavyweight fight next. An absolute. If you're a big time MMA fan, I can't call him a legend, but I'd say someone who's had some of the more interesting fights in the UFC. Alex Caceres versus Sean Woodson. Alex Caceres has 21 wins, 14 losses. Quite a common fighter, fights all the time, or did at one point fight very often. There won't be many nights where you won't see Alex Caceres fighting. He's got a very interesting style. And then Sean Woodson, the more unknown fighter of the two. He's 11-1, Sam. But who have you got?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, this is the one, a bit like Aldo Martinez last week, that I've kind of flip-flopped it a little bit. I think I'm going to go for Woodson in this one. 5-1-1 in the UFC. Slightly younger at 31. Mostly going to decisions. 4 of his 5 wins in the UFC have gone to decision. He won a split decision last time out against Charles Jourdain. That was on the Strickland Duplessis card in January. He's tall for the weight, which is kind of where I'm going for him here a little bit. He's 6'2", which featherweight, is pretty tall. He's got a good reach, 198 centimeter reach. So he's got a good 11 centimeters on Caceres, who's a smaller guy. I'll try and get in, but I think Woodson, who is a nickname, I think the Sniper, can pick him off a little bit here. I do like Caceres. I'd love to see him kind of carry on. He's been in decent form 7-2 in his last 9. Lost to Chikadze last time out, but before that, had been in some good form. But I don't know. I think Woodson for me in this one. I'm going to go by decision again, which you can get around 21-20. Woodson by decision, but I wouldn't mind seeing Caceres win. I'm not. Yeah, either or. He's kind of. I think Caceres has been around that top 15, on the cusp of it for most of his career. Never quite really broken through into a top 10 fighter, but he's always good to watch. But I'm taking Woodson on this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar comments, to be honest with you, Sam. I'd love Caceres to win. I like him. He's got great grappling, got some interesting stand-up, not really orthodox, probably not the best, but I think Woodson, like I said, follows up with his nickname, the Sniper, and just picks him off, takes him apart. I just don't think he's got enough to offer Woodson in the stand-up, and I think Woodson keeps it steady. Caceres is good at grappling, good at submissions, but I don't think his wrestling's brilliant either. I think Woodson picks him off, keeps it standing as long, and yeah, he's not known for his pure knockouts, but I think he might. I don't think he can knock Caceres out. Yeah, I'm going decision. I'm talking myself through my thoughts and notes there, but decision. Sean Woodson picks Caceres off, and like you said, gets himself around that top 15 in the featherweight division.
Nice, yeah. Completely agree. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. Woodson by decision.
Right, Sam. The next one, Carlos is in the lightweight division. It's Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Mateusz Rębecki. You'll take us through this one, Sam.
Yeah, I'm siding with more towards Rębecki. He's 31 years old, the younger guy from Poland, 3-0 in the UFC. He's got 2 finishes, an armbar finish of Ruziboev Roberts in the first round last time out, November on 295. Had a KO before that as well. Loic Radzhabov in the fight before. He's a bit of a tank, solid wrestler, got some decent jiu-jitsu. He's got a knockout on there, so there's a bit of Polish power knocking around as well. 16-fight win streak, coming from from Poland as well. So he's got momentum. He's got confidence coming into the UFC. He's gone 3-0, and Ferreira now at 39. Not many fights in recent years. He's had a lot of injury problems. Did come back and beat Michael Johnson last June, second round. Knocked him out with an overhand right. But yeah, I don't know. I think Rębecki's going to have too much for him. Before that, Ferreira was on a bit of a losing skid before his hiatus in 2021. He lost to Gamrot, lost to Gregor Gillespie and Benil Dariush as well. So yeah, I'm siding with Rębecki. Yeah, I think he's got a decent enough, well-rounded game to be able to win this against a wily veteran in Ferreira. So I'm going Rębecki. I think he might get the TKO in the end, a bit of ground and pound. So I'm going KO TKO around 13-10. But Rębecki under 1.5 rounds has been boosted by Bet365 to 9-5, which kind of caught my eye a little bit. But I think I might just stick to him getting the stoppage win by KO or TKO.
Yeah, I think if this fight was in 2020, it's easy to say, but I think if it was in 2020, you've got to go Carlos Diego Ferreira. I didn't miss a fight, didn't miss a single event or anything in the 2020. Obviously, around COVID, I was and he was surging. Obviously, just beat Anthony Pettis before he rematched Benil Dariush. He was getting talked about. He was the right age, right side of the age spectrum, just about the 34, 35. And it's like, all right, here's his chance. And then, like you said, he went on that losing skid against 3 very good wrestlers here. Mateusz Rębecki is probably, like you said, pretty well-rounded. I just think the age is going to play a difference here. Carlos Diego Ferreira probably just going to fight out his contract here. It's so tough when you get older. Like you said, he's Mateusz Rębecki, surging prospect, right side of the age spectrum, had some good wins, watched his armbar against Ruziboev Roberts. Not Roosevelt Roberts is an interesting fighter. If you've had the luxury of watching one of his fights, I think it was a last-minute. He was a last-minute replacement as well, just after he lost his UFC contract. He's come back in because he were exciting. Rębecki did what he had to do, and I think he again gets it to the ground and probably gets the finish. I don't think he finishes it that quickly. Maybe a third round finish. I'm thinking, Sam. Round 3 finish from Mateusz Rębecki, submission on the go.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think could go to the latter stages this one. But yeah, I think I agree that the age thing, and I think he's just going to grind it out in the end, Rębecki.
Then the next one, the light heavyweight fight, Alonzo Menifield versus Carlos Ulberg. Interesting one, Sam. Take us through your stats for this one.
Yeah, this is another one where I'm not 100%. Carlos Ulberg, 5-1 in the UFC, 33. Now coming obviously kickboxing background, coming from that city kickboxing gym like Adesanya from New Zealand. I think he's starting to look a bit more ruthless now. I've been watching some of his stuff this week. He's finished his last 4 opponents in Daton Jung, Pateria, who we saw last week. A couple of us as well that he's got on his record now. And I watched like a highlights reel, and from his first fight, I don't know, it just didn't seem to have that like killer instinct in MMA. That he was taking his time. He was, he probably could have finished the fight 2 or 3 times, but just chose to sit back a little bit. But his last couple of fights definitely looking more ruthless, looking for the finish where it presents itself. But I'm just not sure about Menifield. He's 36, 8-3-1 in the UFC. He's found a bit of form. Won his last 2. He's unbeaten in 5 technically because he had a draw with Jimmy Crute, which he went on and won in the rematch. So he's not lost Menifield since 2021 to William Knight. December 2021 was his last defeat. He's got some good wins on his record. He had a win over Paul Craig when Paul Craig was in good form back in 2019 as well. So he's kind of won against all sorts of opponents, and he seems to always kind of grind it out and get the job done. He's ranked number 11 in the division, but when you look at his record, to say he's a top 15 light heavyweight, he's kind of missing some of the names towards the top of the division. So I don't know what he's done to piss anyone off at the UFC, but he's kind of not going to that next level. He's always seeming to be matched against these up and comers, these next guys. A bit like we talked about Anthony Smith last week. Now starting to get matched against the up and comers, and that just seems to be what Menifield is getting from the UFC. So he's obviously putting these, not letting these guys past him. So I like Ulberg, and I think he's potentially a good opponent to defeat Menifield. But I don't know, there's something about Menifield, especially as an underdog at this, ranked number 11, 2-1 underdog. I'm kind of just siding towards Menifield a little bit. I just don't know if I've seen enough yet of Ulberg to say that he's potentially going to knock out Menifield. Although I saw Menifield his defeat to Aubin St. Preux, and I think that could play out a similar way here, where he kind of swings in and Ulberg just picks him off using his kickboxing experience. But having said that, I'm at the odds in this fight. I'm moving more towards Menifield, so I'm going to take the underdog at 2-1 for Alonzo and Menifield.
I like it, the brave call, Sam. I like it. The betters are on your side. I think I'm with you. With every Alonzo Menifield fight's an absolute. He makes it slugfest. He makes it not dirty as in eye pokes and that, but he makes it dirty. He gets in the grind. He's a big powerhouse of a puncher. Absolute, got muscles on muscles. Big, powerful man. The thing I'm trying to go is his last win was against Dustin Jacoby, who's a pretty good kickboxer for Alex Ferreira in kickboxing. He's done a bit in the game as Justin Jacoby in the kickboxing, pretty similar to Ulberg, and he's beat Jacoby. But I watched that fight and I'm just not that impressed with Jacoby. He definitely doesn't seem to have that killer instinct. He likes to just pick off at his opponents and slowly grind out a points victory, a points standing victory. I think Ulberg's got that bit extra power. City kickboxing, like I said, a bit on the downswing in recent years. No champions anymore. Not as many surging fighters. I think it's all going to go into Ulberg to be the next upcoming City kickboxing potential champion. So I'm going to have to play it safe, Sam. I think Ulberg gets the knockout. I think the Menifield's a bit too wild for me. If you can handle his pressure, if you can handle that power, I think he is beatable. You can definitely pick him off. It's just whether you can handle his pressure and his power. And I think Ulberg will. It's something that City kickboxing are pretty good at coaching. If you think about obviously most of Adesanya's wins. I've got Ulberg doing this. I think City kickboxing, it's all going to go into Ulberg being the next champion and holding that great gym, not together, but holding it still in that highest of esteem. So I think Ulberg gets this and gives City kickboxing its next future contender.
Nice, like it. Yeah.
Right. Co-main event of the evening, Sam. We've got Joaquin Buckley versus Nursulton Ruziboev. Who have you got on this one?
This is another tough one to call. I think it's a little similar to the last fight. Buckley, is that kind of guy, muscles on muscles, as you were saying. He's done pretty well since dropping down to welterweight. 3-0 in his new weight division. Before, maybe not quite big enough to be a middleweight, but certainly has looked a decent force at welterweight. He stepped in against Vicente Luque last time out, short notice, got that one done. That was only at the end of March, wasn't it? Second round. Ground and pound win for Buckley in that fight. And I like Buckley, but obviously he does have those holes in his game. He is a bit easy to hit sometimes, and maybe just powers his way through. Other welterweight wins against Alex Morono and Andre Filau as well. Now ranked at number 11. So I know he wanted to be on this card because of his allegiances, but I don't know why he's taking this fight. He's now got a decent ranking at welterweight. Fighting Nursulton Ruziboev, who's got loads of fights on his record. He's dropping down as well from middleweight for this one. 2-0 in the UFC middleweight. Both first round stoppages. Beat Bruno Ferreira in his first fight. Pretty much sat him down with a jab in that fight, and beat Cedric Dumas last time out, who I think might have Buckley will probably have a similar kind of game plan, try and pressure him. There was a potential eye poke in that kind of fight ending sequence, but Ruziboev did look quite good. He's very tall for the division, 6'5", welterweight. Tall, boxes patient, loves an uppercut and a hook. Not seen too many leg kicks from him so far. So I'm kind of maybe going towards Ruziboev. If he can carry some of that power down to welterweight, I think he could be decent at the division. Just thought that really tall, almost reminds me a little bit of kind of Rakhmonov. That he's so tall, he can win the fight on the feet, but also he's got loads of submissions on his record as well. So I think he might have too much for Buckley here, and Buckley's the kind of guy that can look good, but then will make a mistake. And I think that's where Ruziboev dropping down in weight could cause him a problem here. So I'm going Ruziboev, who is an underdog as well, 5-4 underdog. The KO TKO stoppage is 15-4, and I like that kind of odds. I see that the fight playing out maybe a little bit like that Buckley steps in at one point, makes a mistake. Ruziboev staying nice and patient, and he just picks him off. So yeah, I'm going for Ruziboev.
Yeah, it's interesting for say he's only had 2 UFC fights. He's 34 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws. It's a pretty stacked. He's had plenty of fights. So yeah, there's not many going off his Wikipedia page. There's not many named fighters in there, other than, like you said, the last 2 of Bruno Ferreira and Cedric Dumas. But even they don't have Wikipedia pages as of yet. So yeah, it's a really interesting one, because you don't know how good this Ruziboev actually is. Dumas, we've seen, is up and down. Bruno Ferreira's on the downswing. So it's an interesting one. I'm really struggling to pick. I just don't. I hope he doesn't hear me say this. I just don't rate Buckley that highly. He beat Fialho, who was meant to be this superstar. He's not been. Alex Morono, steady fighter, and Luque is definitely like I said, after his sad and bad brain hemorrhage, I believe he's just not been the same fighter. He's lost to Chris Curtis, lost to Imamov. I'm with you, Sam. I just think there's too many holes in that attack. He's been known for these good knockouts. Obviously, the famous, one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history, the spinning back kick. But I think Ruziboev, his experience of just being in that ring, might get him the win. Buckley, though, is the home fighter. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. It is in St. Louis, Missouri, so that always helps. The home crowd cheering you on always makes a big difference. You can see when them fighters are hometown fighters, that it gives them an extra bit of energy, extra bit of motivation to not get embarrassed and lose. I'm going to go Nursulton Ruziboev by decision. Buckley does a good showing, but I just don't think he's got enough to match Ruziboev's height advantage, his experience. And I think I'm going to go Ruziboev by decision.
Nice. Yeah, I think the hometown thing, I don't know if it'll play as a disadvantage to Buckley. He's the kind of guy that he'll want to impress so much that he might give it a good show, and he will give it his all as he always does, but he'll want to win in front of his the hometown fans. He campaigned to get on this card, didn't he, at the press conference recently with Dana at the 300 press conference, didn't he? So both these guys are making a short turnaround for this fight. Both fought on the same night that Buckley fought Luque. That was when Ruziboev fought Dumas as well. I just think Buckley might, as it goes later in the fight, that's when he'll might be chasing, and that's when he'll be overstretching, and that's when the mistake might come, and that's where someone like Ruziboev is tall for the division, was tall for the last division, but I think he's at welterweight. He's going to cause someone like Buckley, a smaller fighter, a problem, and that's when he'll go overreaching Buckley, and Ruziboev will pick him off.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, pretty thing. And then we've got the main event of the night. We've got Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Sam, take us through what you think of this fight.
Yeah. Well, we said it before, and you said it as when we joined the call, that how can you call a Derrick Lewis fight just so unpredictable? 18-10 in the UFC. Now 2-5 in his last 7, ranked outside the top 10 now at number 12. Went 5 rounds with Almeida last time out. Lost that one, but did go the 5 rounds. Defeats to some top guys. Derrick Lewis, he's been around that top 10 for a long time. He's had some very good wins to his name. But he's when he's lost, he's losing to top guys like Spivak, who's ranked at number 9. Pavlovich, who's ranked, in that top 10 as well. Tuivasa, who is just on the outskirts of it now, and Garn as well, who's number 2 in the division. So, Derrick Lewis, he loses to the top guys. He tends to sometimes beat some of the kind of lower opponents, the up and comers. He's one of those guys that will hold off those coming. So he's not probably quite a gatekeeper status just yet. If he loses this one, he's well in that kind of territory. He beat Marcos Rodrigo de Lima and Chris Daukaus as well in two of his last wins. But it's all down to what Derrick Lewis shows up. He's always in good form, like before the fight, isn't he? But it's whether he can do it. Nascimento 4-1 in the UFC, 1-0 contest as well, which was a PED banned substance, which I believe was for a medication that he was using. But that fight against Alan Baudot was his only stoppage win in the UFC. TKO in the second round. I think the rest might have gone to decision as well. He's had a couple of split decisions too. So I don't know. I think if Derrick Lewis can't win this, then he is kind of in trouble as his career comes to a close. But I still think there's life in Derrick Lewis yet. So I'm gonna go for him. A Derrick Lewis on form night. He's gonna have to win this in the first half of the fight for me. The KO is 8-11, boosted by 365, 7-4, under 1.5 rounds, which I'm not too sure about in this 5-rounder, but I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis to get this done.
Oh, that's like you said, it completely depends what mood he's in, whether he's interested in grappling. The game plan's there for Derrick Lewis, grapple, make him tired. The thing that worries me about Derrick Lewis, he used to have an iron chin, used to be pretty unknockoutable. He used to take a very good shot now, and obviously, as you said, been knocked out by Pavlovich, got knocked out by Tai Tuivasa, got wrestled to death by Gelton Almeida. I don't know if it's such a tough call. It's such a tough call. I just, like you said, I'm with Derrick Lewis. How can he not be a fan favourite? He's had more moments and more hilarious, more great knockouts than any other fighter, probably in the UFC currently. So I'm with you, Sam. I'm going Derrick Lewis, second round knockout. Let's see. I think to beat Derrick Lewis, you either have to be amazing at wrestling or beat him standing up. Beat him standing up's impressive. He's not high energy, but he's not someone I want to trade toe for toe with. There's only, as I said, Pavlovich, Garn, and Tuivasa who have gone toe for toe. But I just don't think Nascimento's that same caliber of pure knockout power. And I think that's what you need to get Derrick Lewis out of there. So I think Derrick Lewis, second round knockout for me, Sam.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm all in on Derrick Lewis for this one. He gets it done.
I like it. So yeah, so that's the UFC fight night. Sam, any final thoughts before the weekend? What are you?
Yeah, just looking forward to this one. Yeah, the fights keep rolling now. There's some big ones to come in the next few weeks. As June looking busy. With Makhachev, Poirier, and then of course McGregor at the end of the month. So June looking great. We've got a good card. Next week another fight night, isn't there? Next week where one of the UK guys in Lerone Murphy gets his kind of big potential breakout moment at the top of the card. So yeah, just enjoying these fight cards to come, and yeah, interesting to see this one because there's a few, isn't there, that we've talked about, just not quite sure. They could go either way, so it should be an interesting card, this one, and in front of fans as well, which is always good. Sometimes we drop back down into Apex territory, don't we, in this little interim period. So nice, this one's in front of fans as well.
Yeah, like you said, a few hometown fighters. Obviously, Derrick Lewis not hometown, but the country boys' favourite fighter, Joaquin Buckley, a hometown fighter. So the top two the crowd will be buzzing. Should be a good atmosphere. Like you said, some names that, like you said, most people won't be too sure of in there. Some surging contenders, possibly, depending on how well the result goes. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm going to enjoy this one. I said I'm not 100% on my picks this week. I'm a bit dicey on which way to go on quite a few of the fights. So yeah, it'd be an interesting night. Let's hope some contenders emerge from it, and let's hope Derrick Lewis gets another highlight reel knockout so he gets that post fight interview. Been a pleasure, Sam. See you next week. Good luck.
See you next week.